I have high expectations, so nothing really surprises me. I would be more surprised if we weren't where we're at, to be honest. I just knew we had a good team kind of coming into the year all off season, just the brotherhood we have, the chemistry we have, and the players we have.
Carson Wentz getting it done for the Philadelphia Eagles, 10-1. They have won 9 games in a row, 4th in a row by 23 points, 3rd in a row by 28 points. They are making it look easier and easier. 5 touchdown passes away, Wentz is, from setting a single-season franchise record. Sonny Jurgensen had 32 touchdown passes way back in 1961. And that, look, guy's only in his 2nd year. They believe in him. MVP candidate. An MVP candidate who has sustained his candidacy, unlike Charlie Checkdown, Alex Smith. Right. Wentz keeps it rolling. Where's the flaw with this team? Other than Wentz possibly getting injured, where's the flaw?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any glaring flaw that I can look at other than that maybe is there a defense out there, excuse me, that can at least match their physicality on the offensive side of the ball to where they can slow the run game down. And I'll still say this. It's a receiving core that is not special. It's really not. I mean, there's a reason nobody wanted Alshon Jeffrey, and he only signed a 1-year deal. Torrey Smith, listen, I know he's still fast, but he's not exactly the guy you design an offense around. So they don't have one guy where a defense is going to go, oh, we got to double team him or you're in trouble. So if they do find that wrong matchup where a team can match up, place a man-to-man, put an extra guy in the box to stop the run game, that's where it could be dicey. But we've seen that happen a few times this year, and Wentz still makes magic happen.
How do you feel about my theory that if it comes too easily for a team in the regular season and they win these games by 20 or more points and then they find themselves in a slugfest in the postseason, they're not going to be ready for it because they haven't been through it in the regular season?
I think it's very real. When you say that, and I haven't heard you say that, but right away, the first thing I thought of was the 2011 15-1 Green Bay Packers, right? They were on fire. Aaron Rodgers was playing great, and they went the divisional round, and the New York Giants came to town, and the Packers were ready to put on a show and go, oh, we're amazing, and we're going back to the Super Bowl. And the Giants came up there for a fight. And all of a sudden, it was Hail Mary at halftime, if you remember. The Giants got it, and all of a sudden, Green Bay was shell-shocked. Like, oh, wait, this is what a battle game is like here in the playoffs?
It's not supposed to be like this.
Yes,
we're supposed
to roll over and go to the championship game and then go to the Super Bowl. We got Aaron Rodgers. So there is something to that, learning or forgetting that battle-tested type moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you have to lose. Because remember the LaShawn McCoy comment from a couple of weeks ago as well. It's good we lost, and then they get blown out twice in a row. No, what's good is to have some games where you feel what it's like to be in a close game, and you understand what it's like to have to hold on and preserve a win, and you have to score late to get a victory. Because if you find yourself in that situation in the postseason, you want to be ready to deal with it, and you don't want to be. And it used to be, the past few years, the 1 seed and the 2 seed have been holding serve at home in the divisional round. But it used to be a 50-50 proposition, and it made sense. You got a team that maybe barely made it to the playoffs. Right. They win in the wild card round. They're feeling good about themselves. They got nothing to lose. We're supposed to lose. We're going into Slay the Dragon.
Yes.
We're supposed to get blown up by this thing.
Yes.
And you catch them early, you catch them flat-footed, the next thing you know, they're in a game, and they don't know what to do because they're thinking, like Mike Tomlin, are the big games next week, this is supposed to be the one where we just punch the clock and move on, and the next thing you know, you get punched out of the ring.
There's definitely something to that. I mean, for all those out there, it's still humans that are playing this football game, and the emotions are still real human emotions. Complacency can set in. You get a first-round bye. We see teams struggle with the bye week
for a few days.
Right, or we see teams struggle with the bye week all season long where they come back and they go, oh, wait, this is what it's like to get low pads and tackle and wrap up and do those things again. So, yes, it gets magnified even more in the playoffs because it is the quality football teams. And you're right, one team has usually been fighting for their life the last few weeks and has nothing to lose.
And the one thing that maybe would benefit the Eagles is not being able to take their foot off the gas the last couple, do you rest your starters? And then they're Patriot really style. Rusty.
Yes, right. Like do the Patriots 2007 where they went in and undefeated and said, screw you, the rest of the NFL, we're going to play this out.
But how many times did Bill Polian always wrestling with this idea of when do you rest your starters and pull guys out of games? And I think it's a factor. If you have 3 weeks between meaningful games, how in the world do you knock that rust off and get ready to go when the time comes to play in the postseason? All right, so the Eagles still on track for the 1 seed. The Vikings now all alone for the 2 seed because the Rams knocked off the Saints. Saints, the first team in the Super Bowl era to start 0-2 and win 8 in a row. The streak ends at 8. The Rams win 26-20. Rams won 5 of their last 6. Jared Goff, 9 touchdown passes, 1 interception in his last 4 games. Drew Brees held to 96 passing yards going into the fourth quarter. He had plenty in the fourth quarter, but my goodness, the Rams, a great recovery for a team that felt like it got exposed by the Vikings.
Right.
They did not go into a shell. They did not say, oh, woe is us. They took care of business at home in front of an unimpressive crowd. When are they going to fill that stadium up the way USC does?
I guess they're not. I mean, if they're
Philadelphia in 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, if it doesn't sell out it's not going to sell out anytime soon because, I mean, yeah, that'll be a showdown between 2 of the best teams in football. And, Mike, I mean, you said it, though. This one was impressive because last week they got ran on by the Minnesota Vikings. The offense wasn't quite as sharp. Well, this is what a good team does. This is why I respect Sean McVay so much, and I respect what Jared Goff is doing. But the big thing that jumped out to me was the defense, like you alluded to. I mean, you were watching the game. I'll be excited to watch this film just because how many times did we see Drew Brees sitting back there with nobody open? Just he had time to throw at times and just was nobody there that he felt comfortable pulling the trigger to an open receiver. So those are encouraging things. And the Rams run defense. They obviously learned something from the Minnesota game because, I think New Orleans' offensive line's the best in football. And they couldn't really run the ball other than the Kamara big run. So it was an impressive win for the Rams to kind of I think that was the first time I said, you know what? They're legit in my eyes, where I just said if they get in the NFC playoffs, they can beat anybody.
You know, and the Vikings didn't play on Sunday. They had played on Thursday, but they handled the Saints way back in week 1.
Yeah.
It seems like a long time ago. Sam Bradford was the quarterback then.
Right.
They handled the Rams last week. They went into Detroit and took down a Lions team that has the highest paid quarterback in football. Are we selling? I mean, is everybody just sleeping on the Vikings?
We are. I mean,
isn't that the perfect formula, though? Don't you want to be a team that was like, they stink. They don't have a star.
Right.
Case Keenum,
no
he
star
sucks.
Quarterback.
This guy's no good.
No doubt
and
about it.
they just keep winning games.
Yes. I tried to bring it up in the Sunday Night Football pregame show a little bit, too, just to go like, no, they deserve to be in the class with the Steelers and the Patriots and the Eagles. They are up there. That defense is amazing. It's the number 5 ranked offense in football, or it's somewhere real close to that.
30 points average over the last 3 games against great quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, and Matthew Stafford coming out of the bye. Case Keenum, 30.6 points per game for the Vikings.
I mean, you know my thoughts on this. And of course, yes, they can physically run the ball and dominate the line of scrimmage. Their defense is good at all 3 levels. The last piece is we just got to have the coach show some confidence in the quarterback. I mean, what did he say last week? That Case Keenum has a shamrock up his butt? Something like that. Horseshoe. No, coach, you're the horseshoe up Teddy Bridgewater's butt. I don't know why you keep letting this go. So Keenum's playing phenomenal.
You know the theory. It goes back to your dad's head coach.
I know. I think
he's keeping him on his toes.
I
asked Kyle Rudolph on Friday. Right. Thanks for listening to the show. I said, what do you think of my theory that Mike Zimmer is deliberately keeping Case Keenum on his toes because he knows he's salty and he's mad and he's going to play better? And he said, I think there's something to that because they like this theory that everyone is down on them, that no one believes in them. So I guess we should continue to say the Vikings stink. You're welcome, Coach Zimmer. They stink. You're not going to win another game. You're going to go to Atlanta this weekend. You're going to lose by 40 points. But at some point, the next 2 games at Atlanta, and when are we going to? It's like, and we'll find a reason not to believe. Like, yeah, they beat Washington. Yeah, they beat the Rams. Yeah, they beat the Lions. Yeah, they beat this. Yeah, but we'll believe it when you beat the Falcons. We'll believe it when you beat the Panthers. When are people going to finally believe?
I don't know. And listen, they might lose the next 2 games, but I'll just say this. They match up with anybody in football. They are one of the few teams I look at that just go, it's universal. It doesn't matter who they play. If it's the Saints, it's the New England Patriots. They have the defense in the secondary to at least slow down that passing game. Their offense is legit. Plain and simple. Thielen and Diggs and Rudolph are a legitimate trio in the pass game. Thielen's playing like one of the best receivers in football. And now that Latavius Murray's foot injury is back and healthy, their offensive line and some of the things that Rick Spielman did for that football team, I mean, he pushed all the right buttons in the offseason. And yes, I do. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings can win the Super Bowl. Hands down. They really can.
Carolina Panthers are now 8-3. They beat the Jets 35-27. It was not an impressive game, but it was a win, right? You go to MetLife Stadium, a Jets team that wasn't nearly as bad this year as it was expected to be. Carolina has now won 4 in a row, and the showdown is looming next Sunday afternoon in the Superdome. The Saints have won in Carolina. It was New Orleans' first win, Carolina's first loss back in Week 3. This is it. This is the game for. I know there's still 4 games left, but whoever wins on Sunday is going to have control of the division. And it makes a very big difference. You got to go on the road in the wild card round. It's still an uphill climb for either of these teams to get a bye, but it's not over yet. The Vikings could hit a pothole. The Eagles could hit a pothole. There's still a lot of football to be played. But this game next weekend, Carolina at New Orleans, a huge, huge game. And they may not have Greg Olsen. It was very bizarre yesterday. They removed him early from the game.
Right.
It felt ominous. The team said it was a precaution. Olsen said, my foot was sore, but I think I'll be okay. I'm told he already had x-rays.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound precautionary.
good, right.
And more tests today. So we'll see how Olsen is. Because if they want to get to the point where they are competing for the Super Bowl, they need to add him to an offense which is getting more out of Christian McCaffrey, more out of Devin Funchess.
Right.
Cam Newton a little more reckless, not in a bad way, but using his body more in a smart way.
Yes.
And at times they feel like the team they were a couple of years ago.
I agree. I mean, I think they're another team like Minnesota that's being slightly disrespected right now. Another team that when you just look at them and watch the way they play, they're not going to be physically dominated on either side of the football. Their defensive front seven's phenomenal. We know that with Kuechly and Kawan Short and all them. And then their offensive line, it's not great, but the fact that you have to worry about all the things Cam Newton does off of it makes their running game better, makes their offensive line better. Newton was off yesterday throwing the football, plain and simple. We saw a little bit of what we saw early in the year with Cam Newton, but they were coming off a bye week against a team that again, this is human emotion, where they go, we're better than this team. We should be able to beat them. It was not an impressive win, but they found a way to get it done. And I do still think Carolina, let's not forget, they did go to New England and beat the Patriots up there, and I know that wasn't the same Patriots team, but it just shows you their capabilities as well.